Okay, sir. Shall we start?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, good to go.
A very good morning to all. So, we have come to the 12th day of this FDP Series 2, and I feel glad to welcome you all again. And my warm welcome to Mr. Raj Vikram Madurai Ilavarasan, who is the resource person today. And he is going to throw light on the topic transforming the energy industry using deep learning and big data analytics. Before we hand over the session to Mr. Raj Vikram, I would like to introduce him to this August audience. Mr. Raj Vikram received his B degree in electrical and electronics engineering from Anna University, Chennai, and he had his master's in power system engineering from Tyagaraja College of Engineering. So he held an associate technical operations with the IBM Global Technology Services Division. He also served as an assistant professor with the Department of Triple E in Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering. He is currently a visiting scholar with the Clean and Resilient Energy Systems Laboratory, Texas A&M University, Texas, USA. So his research interests include renewable energy and smart grid, wind energy, power system operation and control, artificial intelligence control techniques. He was a gold medalist in his master's degree. He also serves as a recognized reviewer for reputed journals. Sir, we are very happy to have you as a part of this FDP program. And now I would request you to take over the session. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction. And it is really my privilege to, address the gathering on this important topic in this current scenario. And also, I thank Dr. Princeton, HOD of Triple E, Kamaraj College of Engineering, for having invited me to deliver the lecture to the to the audience who are working in the area of energy and who is from basically from electrical and electronics engineering department. So obviously, the session would be somewhat it is going to be really useful, and also some things as in terms of deep learning, big data analytics and its application in energy domain could be visualized. And thank you for the introduction. And I currently work with the Clean and Resilient Energy Systems Lab at Texas, where I deal with many technologies which I utilize for implementing in my research activities, especially in the area of power and energy. So the topic today, which I would like to deliver, is the transforming the energy industry using deep learning and big data analytics. So yes, of course, the when you look at the title, you may wonder what is the transformation that has been happening in the energy industry. Yes, of course, like now currently, uh, take the example of we are in COVID situation, and we are all now connected to the digital transformation, something which is not a normal way of communication. We are dependent on the digital era, like some technology where which is really uniting us and which is making us to communicate so freely in a fast pace of life. So likewise, we are going to take one sort of application as an energy, and how the energy industry is dependent on some advanced techniques like deep learning and big data analytics. So what is the difference and how it is going to be useful in transforming the existing energy industry is what is we are going to see today as a separate topic, and also some insights will be covered on the same. So the outline is going to be so simple. Like I'm just going to give, by looking at the outline, you can understand what is the session which would be covered for next 1 hour. So role of big data and deep learning in energy sector. So deep learning, what is a deep learning and what is a big data and what is the role of big data and deep learning in energy sector? So especially what is the role of big data in power distribution system, and how the energy transition is happening currently is what is the next topic which we would be covering, and also the forecasting. What is the need of forecasting? What is the need of prediction in smart grid environment? And what are the different energy forecasting models, and what is really available in the literature, and what is really available in the day-to-day scenario in terms of forecasting the energy by means of the existing models. So then we will be seeing what are the research issues and challenges. This I'm throwing light into it because, by knowing this, what are the issues which are there in the existing literature, and what are the challenges that are being faced, and what are the questions that we have for the researchers, and what are the questions that we have to answer for the research community, that could be covered in the session. Maybe at the end of the session, you would be able to think what you can put forward for your research life. So what is the big data and deep learning? See, big data, it is nothing but like, the data is so massive, and this is something going to relate with the massive data, handling of massive data, and how to give that massive data as an input to one system. So it refers to things one can do at a large scale that cannot be done at a smaller one, to extract new insights or create new forms of value in ways that change markets, organizations, the relationship between citizens and governments, and more. So it was the saying by Victor Mayer. So I'll put this particular definition in a straightforward way. What is a data warehousing, where you do any kind of, like processing of data so manually, and then you store it, and then you take it outward, and then you try to like analyze by extracting things, and then do any kind of analysis. Here everything is manual in a typical data warehousing concept, whereas in big data, what is the facility available is like you have the data sets. Okay, everything now, big data analysis is nothing but you're going to analyze the massive data. Now it is a trend of digital era. So everything is prone to be available all over the social media. Facebook is having all provision of data uploading. Twitter is having all sort of data uploading. And also there are many digital media which are really having a lot of large volumes of data. There are many repositories available. So where what you can do is everything could be analyzed in terms of real time. So real time analysis is becoming more predominantly required. So in that case, what we try to do is we try to assess everything in real time. So you have large volume of data, and what you try to do is you try to take the volume of data, and then you train it, and then you analyze it, and then you also extract some features out of it, and then you try to do some in-depth analysis out of it. So that's what I mean by this particular term, extra new insights. Extra new insights is nothing but uh, we are trying to not only extract the data, and we are trying not only to like analyze the data, and also you're trying to filter the available data, and then you try to develop the knowledge out of the data that you're trying to pre-process as an input to the system. So that is why the name big data analysis is the apt word for this particular concept. So then, and what is the deep learning? So when we wanted to learn something, we need some materials, and we need some data sets, and we need some inputs. So that inputs can be desirably produced by the analysis of by means of big data analysis, and then you try to learn it in depth. By acquiring the knowledge, you seek the help of big data, and by after acquiring the knowledge, you try to train it and learn it in depth by means of a deep learning model. So in other words, deep learning, it could be manual, instead of manually being automated, it is like automated. I mean, it is automatically, like without any manual intervention, you can do all sort of analysis, and you can do all sort of, like performance metrics improvement measures can be effectively carried out. And also, like the accuracy is very high in terms of deep learning models, and also the future extraction methods that are available for analyzing any sort of problems is predominantly high in terms of deep learning. So deep learning is a class of machine learning algorithms comes in the form of a neural network that uses a cascade of layers and processing units to extract features from data and make predictive guesses about the new data. So when you have a random set of data and you try to acquire a knowledge out of it, and then by predicting it, you can also guess the new set of cyclic data that are available for the feature. So this is the exact meaning of big data and deep learning. So artificial intelligence and big data. So how are we going to relate the artificial intelligence? The artificial intelligence is something where the humans are replaced by robots. Simply, you can assume like that. And this is what is a general, like AI. Intelligence is already there in human, and artificial intelligence is something where the effective human is replaced something in terms of a robot or a machine. And big data. So digital technologies and can support the renewable energy sector in a variety of ways. Yeah. So our motive, in what way the digital technologies are going to be especially be very supportive in terms of renewable energy sector, and how it could be really supportive in various ways. And simply you can put the statement in this way: artificial intelligence generally, like which makes people's life more productive and creative. Not only taking the example of energy sector, like you can even assume, like the day-to-day scenario. Currently, you take the example of COVID scenario, where even I have worked on this particular topic, how the technologies are being helpful in COVID-19 situation, how it is going to be useful for power and energy sector was one of my paper that is previously published in Applied Energy Elsevier journal, which is one of the reputed journal, where I have tried to, relate what are the important challenges that are faced during the power and during the power pandemic scenario, where how the power and energy sectors are facing, and what are the role of technologies in order to overcome the challenges that are being faced. Because what are the challenges that are being faced? First challenge, we are all working from home, and most of the faculties working in colleges, most of the IT professionals, and most of the researchers working in abroad. Even I'm a researcher working at US lab, but I'm not able to go there due to the current travel ban. What I do things work from home, and I support things work from home. I access my online laboratories. So what do you think which is ruling currently? Exactly none other than technology, and that is a blessing currently. That is why we are all connected. So, and the FDP example, FDP is happening because of the digital era, because of the digital transformation. We are all connected to one place, and of course it is going to really, artificial intelligence is going to make the people life more productive and creative. So the second is energy, because making it clean, affordable, and reliable will be essential for fighting poverty and climate change. And third is biosciences. So energy is something, energy is not all energy or really clean. So the renewable energy, that's what is the first line that is meant in the slide. So renewable energy is going to be a clean energy, and of course to control the renewable energy sector, or to implement or to add up any RE technologies in a particular farm or in a particular industry, which has to be substituted by the conventional power sources, where you need to seek the support of artificial intelligence, big data, and deep learning for automating it. So the role of big data and deep learning in energy sector. So the natural energy sources are, like a verge of desolation, but the amplitude of consumption energy is jumping up. Yes, of course. So the renewable energy is day by day increasing, and where the energy sources has to be controlled and has to be maintained, and demand and supply. See, when you have a supply, you need to meet the demand requirements, and it could not be provided without any kind of optimization. You need a perfect optimization. See, you need a perfect optimization to get the perfect optimized power, or perfect optimized, voltage control. You need to seek the support of one analysis tool, and that analysis could be better substituted by, like the big data, without which the system can't be certainly claimed as a well optimized system. So with deep learning, what all we can do is, we can do various things, especially when it comes to prediction of prices. Yes, of course, it is very important. to predict the current day-to-day prices in terms of slab rates in this power sector, or in terms of, like the energy slabs, like when you go for one state to other state, what are the slab differences, and how the prediction of prices has to be balanced, and how the optimization of prices has to be carried out. For all these, we need to know the exact pre-processed data as inputs, which has to be given to the system. That system can be trained by means of a deep learning model. By learning it, we can do a lot of analysis and predict things, and also we can also try to implement some things which could really effectively optimize the cost, make best offers, with win more customers, and also reduce churn. Yeah, of course, reduce the damage and predict customer lifetime value, predict the merit order, and optimize energy consumption. Yes, of course, because see, you have see, when you consider a distribution system, you have many distribution lines that are connected in a particular distribution system. For example, you are from Madurai, and Madurai has many DGs connected, interrelated to it. Some one DG can be substituted by RE, where the domestic sector is predominantly there existing in that particular region. So you can effectively substitute by means of RE. So by knowing these kind of changes that has to be done in the existing DS, that is distribution system, you need a tool to analyze the number of DGs and the amount of power supplies across each DG, and the massive power which is being delivered from a single DG system to various interlinked DGs. So for that, you need to know the energy consumption pattern, and also you need to, know the exact overall value of energy consumption pattern, and then train it, and then forego for various kind of, unforeseen scenarios, and try to analyze it and try to assess the assessment pattern of energy. And then you also have a provision to optimize the energy consumption. So now coming to the next slide is which is going to talk about the big energy sector. It doesn't mean that it is very, like some vague word. It's not like that. It is big energy sectors. It means that, comprehensive energy sectors. How the energy sectors are really how these are operating. Obviously, one is generation, and once the power is generated, it has to be distributed. Who is going to be distributed? I mean, the consumer is going to be the end user, and distribution center is what we are going to talk, more about the implementation of technologies perspectives is more predominantly talked over here, and we are having something called smart grid. And what is smart grid? Grids being smarter with aid of technologies, meters being smarter, like how the data collection, data acquisition, and data pre-processing can be effectively carried out, is none other than the only medium to process all the data sets, or these smart meters. So now I would like to touch upon what are the important challenges that are faced, and also what are the important requirements with the aid of technologies in the big energy sectors. Is nothing but the predictive maintenance. You need to predict unforeseen situation, and also you need to take some control measures in advance. That is none other than predictive maintenance, for which the technology is of course going to be useful and improve the productivity. Yes, of course. Like when you have a technology perfectly handled in terms of especially in the energy scenarios or energy industry, a lot of power losses and voltage losses could be minimized, and the power productivity, and also like the economy and profit and everything would be effectively maintained, and it could be met out effectively. So smart grid meets the complex needs of electricity and provides a smart meter provides energy consumption details in real time. It could be a medium to provide any energy consumption details in real time, because big data is all about doing analysis in real time, handling the massive data. So in terms of energy industry, smart meter is going to be an aid, and it is going to be a tool, and it's going to support the big data analysis. So this is more simple, and this is the one structure of power system which most of the electrical and electronics engineering faculties and also electrical and electronic engineering students could really understand the basic layout of the structure of the power system, where the blue color represents the transmission and green represents the distribution and black represents the generation. So how the generation is happening from the generating station, and it gets step up by means of step up transformer, and it is the output of the step up transformer is going to transmit via the transmission lines having various ratings, and then it could not be directly supplied to the distribution system. It has to be stepped down to a nominal level before transforming, distributing to sub transmission system, primary customer, and also secondary customer as per the voltage requirement. This is just an insight about the basic structure of the electric system and how is the structure being modified by means of the technologies. So the smart grid, what are the challenges that are faced by the energy sector is renewable energy management. To manage the RE effectively, it's one of the challenge that is really faced in the energy sector. And what are the environmental issues because of law environmental issues is nothing but the CO2 emissions maintenance, and also CO2 emissions is one of the main thing, and also the pollution that is caused due to the natural resources which are being utilized in some particular places. There will be some kind of environmental issues, and also the condition based monitoring, that is fault, and also what happens if fault towards the grid side, what happens if the fault is really severe fault, and what happens with if the fault is really symmetrical or unsymmetrical. If it is a rarely occurring fault, it is a severe occurring fault. So what happens question should always be there in a modernized power system. That is, the grids that are being smarter should have the ability to capture all these things in order to make the grid system get properly interacted with the interacted with the grid connected system is really like a system which should take care of all these things, and it should be always ready to face the consequences. That's why we make the grids behave smarter, and also we put in various situations and we train the system, and we also have a ready-made solution if some kind of unforeseen situation happens. Efficiency could be effectively maintained, and accuracy can be maintained, and also error minimization can be drastically nil in terms of technology oriented systems, and cost management can be effectively carried out. So when you have a system which is able to react to the which is able to react well to the renewable energy management, and also in terms of unforeseen situation, even if if the system is really perfect and if the system is really intact, then obviously economy is going to be not that affected, because when your system is having a good productivity by means of technology, and when it is under control with respect to environmental issues, when there is no need to invest much on the the additional force or the additional equipments, obviously the cost is going to be managed. Distribution production, the rise of renewable, the move to a smarter grid, and competitive marketing is changing the energy distribution market and putting pressure on the profit margins of utilities. Yes, of course, it is going to really put the pressure if the risk of renewables is going to be predominantly high. So then big data analytics addresses the above challenges by analyzing efficient parameters from the census data. So effectively the parameters and all kind of data sets can be in terms of a power system. For example, census data, I mean here, because you can take an example. You can take an example of a real-time system which is available in SLTC, Southern Load Dispatch Center at Bangalore, where you can all the stations and all the states that are interlinked with each other can be visualized in Southern Load Dispatch Center, where you can monitor what is the penalty factor that should be paid by each state when the state is drawing the excessive power more than what is actually required. So here you can see in that particular center where, like massive data sets are being acquired and it is being projected through supervisory control and data acquisition. What do you think is really being automated there is nothing but the sensors capturing of data sets and giving to something like, RTU, which is remote terminal unit. And what is PMU? Phasor measurement unit, where there are many sensors accumulated in the lines, where each and everything is going to capture data. Data is nothing but the voltage and current signal in terms of power industry. So elements of smart grid. What are the elements where the smart grid is really sticked on to? One is thermal power plant, which can be connected with smart grid, and nuclear plant, factories, homes, cities and office, ecological vehicle, wind generator, renewable energy, photovoltaics. See, all these renewable energy systems can be automated to become smarter by interconnecting, by synchronizing with the smart grid. What are the benefits of smart grid? Efficient transmission of electricity. Yes. So when you want to have an efficient and effective transmission of electricity without unsynchronization happening in the system, everything is being made automated, taking even care of the foreseen, unforeseen situation like fault conditions in the system. Obviously, the transmission is going to be always efficient. Lower operational and management cost if the system productivity is really high, and if there is no need to, like if there is a less need of, like less fault conditions or less malfunctions happening in the system, obviously the operational cost and management cost can be interrelated and it could be minimized. Fast restoration of power disturbance. Yes, when there is a power quality issues in the power system, or when there is a fault that is happening in the typical power system, what happens? The circuit breaker identifies the fault in the line and it tries to isolate the faulty part of the system. And after a few seconds, a few cycles, it tries to bring it back to the normalcy. Yeah, that is a normal electromechanical circuit breaker operation. When it comes to digital era, there are something called numerical relays. That numerical relays can be numerical relays will be present in the smarter environment where it detects even in less than milliseconds. And what it tries to do is it not only brings the system back to the normal, and also it sees to it all the sensors attached to that line is capturing the data continuously without any kind of intermittence. So how quickly the fast restoration is happening, that quickly the power disturbance can be mitigated. At the same time, the inputs that needs to be processed to each and every component in the rest of the distribution system can really be in a proper and, like in a very healthy way. So also smart grid, always there will be peak demand in every places in case of educational institutions, also in case of, like IT industries and commercial and non-commercial industries. Everywhere there will be something called peak where the usage is very high, but that peak could be completely, like optimized. It could be well balanced, it could be well satisfied when you have the smart grid facility, and it can really reduce the peak demand that happens in the uh, various utility circles, and also improve security. The power theft, anti-theft measures are being implemented, and demand side management is especially focusing on that. And that too in India, we have, the security is comparatively improved when you have this kind of cyber physical power system concept is being implemented by means of AI and MI techniques. Cyber physical power system is playing a role, and which is indirectly, like improving the security of the current Indian power system, and especially CPRI, Central Power Research Institute, Bangalore, is taking utmost care of it. Integration of customer owner power generation systems. Obviously, that is one of the other benefit. Changing needs of energy and utilities industry. This is one of the important slide. Obviously, the grid gets older. 60% of electric grid assets will need replacement in this decade. Yes, that's what. See, the normal grid, see to it, voltage, frequency, and phase has to be properly synchronized with the inverter. The inverter output should see when you have a system, what are all the different parts in a linear system? You have, for example, wind generator. If you have a wind generator, your output of wind generator is RMS, RMF, rotational magnetic field, and the output variable AC should be converted into a rectifier where AC will be converted into DC, and to process a good input to the inverter, and that DC has to be properly stabilized and made constant, because you can't directly feed any input to the inverter. So you need to just like make it very constant, ripple free, before processing something into inverter. Ripples I talk in terms of DC, in terms of AC we focus on harmonics. So it has to be made constant and it has to be fed as an input to the inverter, and from inverter there are a lot of things that you need to take care. Voltage has to be properly matched with the inverter, frequency has to be matched with the inverter, and phase has to be matched with the inverter. So these are all the various parameters. If one synchronization issue happens at any of these any of the lines, obviously the entire system will get collapsed. These kind of unforeseen system situation could be avoided effectively by means of smart grid. So what I try to convey here is that almost all the grids are getting older. Almost 60% of electric grid assets, the traditional grid assets, will really have a replacement in this decade, definitely. So that's why we are moving smarter to smarter grids. Alternative energy enters the mix. Global installed wind power capacity increased by 12.4% to more than 318 gigawatts in 2000. From 2013 onwards, there is a drastic increase in the wind energy. Obviously, wind energy is being a very big intermittent source. We need intermittent. The word intermittent means it cannot be predictable. The speed can be extremely high in one season and it could be literally low. Wind speed can be literally low in some season. So for all these things, how the savings should be done, how the storage should be done, how the excess power can be effectively utilized rather just dumping it to the dump loads. How could it be, like energy storage system, how could it be efficiently improved? Smart meters become mainstream. Yes, this is one of the important point for the today's session. In energy industry, smart meters are becoming really important. In 2020, all Danish electric utilities will have smart metering infrastructure installation. This is something old. It is already implemented in 2020, and Danish is doing some much better in terms of smart meters. Consumers want more control and insight into energy consumption. Definitely, there are many programs being organized, especially in terms of demand side management, DSM measures. What are the various DSM measures, and what are the load shifting techniques, peak allocation techniques, like valley filling, load shifting, all those types of measures that are already there in terms of DSM, and consumers need to know how the energy consumption is being, carried away, and also what are the different measures which could be effectively substituted with normal energy consumption pattern. How could it be utilized by means of like the existing methods that are available in the literature as well as available in the like market? How it could be substituted and optimized with the normal energy consumption pattern? How well these effective technologies like deep learning or machine learning could be like accommodated along with DSM to optimize the energy consumption pattern. Big data infrastructure and tools for energy forecasting. These are all the various tools in big data. What are the tools that are really available in the energy forecasting scenario? How the data collection is happening via smart grid, and how the data storage is carried out. And graphical user interface, web-based, is nothing but all the import and export takes place here. And it is a forum for relating the user interface and the various image factories and repositories through GUI. And operating system hardware, of course you need a operating system and hardware to like to pre-process any kind of base functions, and also like the big data platform is heavily depend upon these operating system and hardware. Finally, I represent here decision making. When you have the data collection and when you have it stored by means of knowledge discovery, what you try to do, in the first slide I already mentioned you very clearly, you are going to do some analysis by taking the data set, filtering the data set. Filtering happens here, data mining. And then by filtering, what do you mean by filtering? You filter the healthy data and raw data, raw or normalized data. So you now filter the raw data and take only the normalized data. When you take the normalized data, you get some knowledge. Normalized data is nothing but the required data for a given system. So for selecting that, you have some insights acquired from, I mean, you have some insights that are taken from the big data analysis. And when you have the knowledge, definitely you can make one perfect decision. When you have a decision, and that decision has to be learnt in depth, that's where your deep learning model is relied on. What are the challenges in the existing works? Existing algorithm performs well in increasing the optimization speed and to reduce generation cost. Yes, these are all the, like the existing works that has the challenges, not performing to the standards, what the energy utilities that are actually expect. Exactly, because it is all manual operation. And what else, if the energy utilities are expecting something different when the day is passing by, when the year is passing by, the traditional grids cannot really perform well without the support of effective technologies. It also has faced challenges like managing large quantities of data collected from the smart grid. When there is no technology, it also faces the challenges. And when there is no, when there is no particular metering instruments or advanced metering infrastructure, obviously the smart grids also will suffer. And the last point which I would like to stress upon is data visualization and reporting can be done for energy management, demand side, and supply monitoring, etc. Data visualization and reporting is also missing in the existing, in the existing work, and that could be effectively carried out in the deep learning models. All the data can be visualized and reported, and it could be analyzed in a more comprehensive pattern. Data pre-processing and future extraction techniques is what is available. Data pre-processing and future extraction techniques are something available in the advanced technologies, especially in the deep learning. We have all these features which can really overcome the challenges that are faced in the previous slide, like it could improve the reliability, efficiency, and accuracy. And also, it also includes data cleaning. And as I said, it can also be effective in terms of data normalization in giving a perfect input to the system. Data decomposition strategy is also carried out, which is also, involves other data decomposition is dependency and interdependent data can be effectively identified, and it could be, it could be filtered effectively to pre-process as an input to a system. Raw data can be transformed into smart grid and big data classification. Yes, so big data analysis is really a aid to classify the raw data and the normal data and filter it effectively, clean it, and then acquire some knowledge out of it, and then it aids a pathway for a decision making. So this is just a representation how the practical action about the big data analysis. Data acquisition is acquired by means of data management techniques. Here you can see the equipment conditions and also advanced metering infrastructure. Meteorological environment data can be of any type: clouds, weather, weather data, any data. It could be of any data that could be data acquisition can be carried out, and AMI can process by means of data management techniques and data preparation. And then what data preparation, after getting the data, big data will do all sort of analysis. This is something called visual layers and hidden layers. And visual layers is towards left side, and hidden layers, hidden layers towards the middle side. And where when you do the big data analysis, by means of this normalization happens, raw data and normalized data get splitted up effectively, and you frame a mathematical model from the data that is being attained, and you try to do the analysis, and by means of the knowledge insights you do a decision making. When you have a perfect decision, you put it into practical action. So these are all the various pre-processing and future extraction techniques. So you have the data sources, which is weather data and energy data, and also you do the merging of both the data, because weather, energy, weather is indirectly related to irradiance, of course, and also it is related to wind speed. Everything is comes under this particular concept, weather data, and you try to relate this weather and energy data by means of data merging. You need a data merging technique, and also when you have the data merging, it gets merged and the data becomes massive, and also you need to do a kind of pre-processing, data pre-processing. For that you have two different types. One is statistical techniques and the other one is data decomposition techniques. Statistical techniques is what is mostly manual, and data decomposition techniques is something very automated. And also when you have the statistical techniques implemented in any kind of digital forums, the normal process happening is data cleansing. You need to clean the data and normalize the data, and also when you have the data, you cannot expect that data can be perfectly stable. Like as I said, a typical example of DC link capacitor. DC link capacitor input from wind is being very intermittent. When you have the wind generator connected with the rectifier, and if the rectifier is interlinked with the DC link capacitor, just imagine and visualize that DC link capacitor can't be expected to get a very stable data. Can't be expected to get a very stable data. In that case, I think I can hear the voice. It has to be muted.
Just a minute, I'm looking at it. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
please. Yeah, fine. Thank you so much. You're able to hear my voice, right? I can continue.
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Yeah, that's great. So noise removal. That's what. Sorry for the interruption because of the noise. I was just working on one particular thing. I was about to tell you, wind generator is something very intermittent where you have the rotational magnetic, I mean RMF AC as an output. For example, in three phase. If it is a three-phase wind generator or PMSG, for example, permanent magnet synchronous generator, or like induction generator, if it is a three-phase, you have the variable AC, and the wind generator is being a very intermittent source. It keeps changing its nature, and when you have your rectifier, the AC that is being received will be converted into DC, and that DC cannot be so stable. So you need to optimize that DC to a constant value. So that is not stable because of the oscillations. Oscillations can be related here with this noise removal. So you need to remove the noise level. So in that case, you go for various stages. When you have the smart grid, or when you have the like the decision making tool in the real time smart grid system, this kind of noise removal cannot be done manually. It could be very much automated, and you also need to split the data, train it, and then test it, and then missing values and interpretation can also be effectively carried out by means of statistical techniques. And data decomposition strategies will be wavelet decomposition, empirical mode, and also variational mode, hybrid data, and other methods. There are various methods. Pre-processed data input, how it is being taken care by means of future extraction. After the future extractive data is carried out, and then you do the future selection, and post that you can also tend to know what are the errors that are occurred and what are the correction techniques that could be carried out, and then you build your model for energy forecasting. Key usage patterns of big data and grid operations. What are the grid operations that are being performed is grid planning. You need to plan the grid accordingly as per the requirements, and also system control, asset management, voltage regulation and protection, customer operations, field services, and regulatory reporting. These are all the various grid operations which everyone know in terms of a system control. What are the grid planning measures that has to be taken? Asset management. These are all the key usage patterns which the big data has to be getting, like the perfect picture about, and in what way the planning can be made by the grid operators by means of the available knowledge acquired from the big data, and that could give a perfect decision making for the grid operators to like plan for the situation, power and energy sector situation. And also factors that big data enhances grid operations. It is useful for analyzing the real-time data, especially it is useful for ingestion of like high time series data, because everything we deal is with respect to time in terms of power, because even when we need to detect the fault in the system, we need to highly depend upon like the time. We need to test at what time the system function is becoming malfunctioned. So all are high time series data. Deep analysis of energy demand and load, predict excessive loads on the grid. Like when there is an excessive load that is being injected on the grid, we need to also predict the excessive loads and monitor the performance of grid through reports and data visualization. Everything is being monitored. And if you take in the case of deep learning, you can really, like whatever data are being be processed, everything is graphically represented, and it is a perfect graphical tool. Graphical libraries are in predominantly available in deep learning. When you use the deep learning model with Python, I will be showing some, like some clips and demo of what we have already implemented, and I will be showing at the end like what are all the various options that are available in deep learning and what all you could do as an energy audit or as an electrical engineering graduate. Smart grids and big data. This is what is, I have covered in the previous slide. And what are the key usage patterns in terms of smart metering? Smart metering through real business value can be derived from field service, and also you can plan to do any kind of resource planning, customer service operations, regulatory compliance, obviously in terms of smart metering. So when you come for asset and workforce management, what are the various things that drives the business value for utilities? Obviously, operating the assets in a safer limit and maintain the assets in any kind of unforeseen situation. And also you schedule the usage as per the requirement of the power grid. Big data and power distribution system. In 2017, the US electric utilities had about 78.89 million AMI, advanced metering infrastructure installation, covering over 50% of 150 million customers. So what is the, this is one of the important things, the smart meter installation worldwide surpassed 1.1 billion. Look at the statistics. It is going to be a very big wow for the technology based industries and technology, like now all the technologies are being data centric. That too, you can imagine this slide is being, this slide has been, these slides has been prepared, like well before, and these data statistics has been attained previously from the existing literature. But now let me tell you, after this COVID transformation, everything is becoming digital transforming. I mean, everything is becoming to, like digitally transformed. So obviously all are becoming, all the institutions and all the academia and all over the world, the industries all over the world are becoming so much data centric, where data centric nothing, like without being, like a big, a big or a high kind of facility, wide facility available for data collection, nothing is going to be possible in terms of AI or MI. Because to do any kind of AI or MI implementation, obviously you need something called data analysis tool, and that data analysis is being carried out effectively by means of an, like an instrument or an aid, is not none other than the smart meter. So US has already announced, and the smart meter installation worldwide would be predominantly high by 2022. I now expect that more than 1.1 billion. Now, due to this COVID pandemic impact, it would be still more higher, as we are becoming so much data centric compared to the previous years. So advanced metering infrastructure, weather station, geographical information system, equipment monitors, sensors data is all what is needed for the effective DI AMI implementation. These are all the control actions at the distribution center. How is the, this is the various type of impacts, and what are the minimum duration that has to be taken to, like to get the energy in a continuous manner, and what are the actions that are taken by each distribution centers connected across. And we have transmission operations, distribution operations, customers, and also the energy services, and improve short duration performance, and improve how to improve the short duration performance, and how to improve the system inertia provided to the system, and also how to, bear the existing inertia of the system, and also how to maintain the power quality, for all which you need to forecast the data. So forecasting takes place typically of three different ways, like one is short term forecasting, and one is medium term forecasting, and one is long term forecasting. Short term is normally less than 2 minutes, and medium term is 2 minutes to 1 hour, and long term is 1 hour plus. Always the best prediction could be be a long-term prediction, because you can predict the future and more reliability you can get. So to do all these, we need a forecasting model, and the forecasting model is none other than, like deep learning, machine learning, and also the big data analysis is being a backbone here. And what I wanted to convey here is not alone in terms of, like other applications, the advanced technologies like DL is available for doing its purpose. It's also available for load balancing, load demand in energy sector. So currently, most of the energy industries are transferring towards the smart grid, and the smart grid is obviously nothing without these forecasting technologies: intelligent decentralized grid monitoring and control. So what are the various analysis? Synchrophasor is nothing but the data measurement tool, and this is the new heartbeat of the grid, especially in terms of smart grid, which you can see new smart grid application in distribution. You can sense the demand response, DMS, distributed generation, and also wide area controls. And also you can see the energy management system, and also dynamic security assessment in terms of power theft, state estimation in terms of normal, alert, and active state can be effectively identified in a power system, and also the root cause analysis for any kind of fault that has been occurred in the system already, learning the history and taking the root cause out of it and training it, and taking all the steps in order to avoid that particular severity in future as well. And what are the modelings available, and what are the post event available during offline analysis? Generator and ISO, independent system operator, is something uh, very much compliance is really becoming important, and this ISO compliance rules are highly relied on these forecasting technologies. Energy transition and optimization strategies, and what you have in, like the renewable, more the renewable in energy mix, solar and wind are becoming very much intermittent, and like the energy mix, renewable energy is being one of the most desirable source in the current energy mix, and you need the decentralized energy generation from consumers to producers, many stakeholders. Result is nothing but increased uncertainty because of all this introduction of, like clean energy sources. To avoid the uncertainty and to make it really well decisive making, so you need, like the energy transition is there, and what are the optimization strategies that are available. In order to find out the optimization strategies, you need to sail along with the forecasted technologies, and that forecasted technologies is what is being drived about. Strategies to deal with increased uncertainty. I have thrown light on various strategies. I've thrown light on various strategies that are, like to deal with the. I have thrown light on various uncertainties in the previous slide. And what are the real strategies available, and what is our motive? What do I mean by this transformation of energy transition? So, what are the big data? I mean, what are the steps that are available? Is one is none other than the big data analytics and visualization, example sensors, smart meters, and also innovative market mechanisms like dynamic pricing, and also uncertainty quantification and prediction. And also you can simulate the complex system and see what are the fault analysis could be done in a complex system, or like when there are more DGs, and when there are, like when there is a massive system with more number of components implemented into it. These are the mathematical model for uncertainty reduction for rare event probabilities. So if you look at the diagram, it is a short circuit fault when the transmission lines are breaking down, and like this is a kind of disaster. This is something very rare. It doesn't occur, like very normally. And also lightning arresters is getting failed, and it is, like when it is not having an ability to capture, and what are the event probabilities that occur. So these are all the learnings. So these are all the event probabilities, and this could be, like learned at what situation this has happened, at what situation the lightning effectors has lost its ability to capture the effective, like to capture the cyclonic event. So that could be, like well assessed with respect to time, and also with respect to various events that has been occurred in the previous history, and you try to process it, and this can be effectively learned by means of the models, forecasting models like deep learning, and this analysis can be well effectively carried out as a pre-processing of data can be effectively carried out by big data. So this is a multi-scale simulations, electric discharge in plasmas DC networks, and you can see the event that is occurring, and you can see that one data is processed as other data by analyzing the sub branches, and also you can see the tree like structure to, or like that clearly gives a various time dynamicity, and also you can see that root cause analysis is effectively learned. So this kind of multi-scale simulation tools are also being effectively adapted in the electric environment. So people who are working in the research field, they need to know what are the electric discharge in plasmas. For example, DC network analysis. Those whoever is working, there is something called multi-scale simulation, and especially there is a tool called SINA, SCNA. Multi-scale simulations is an effective tool, and it can be even purchased with each researcher who are working in the area of DC networks. And don't think that you need to buy something out of it. As a researcher, it's our duty to go deep into any kind of simulations what we do in our real time, rather depending only on MATLAB. Something you can buy on your own. Roughly it costs around 2 lakhs or so, but it's really worth implementing by buying it to do a real kind of simulation analysis. Predictive analytics for managing uncertainty, gazing ahead today, and this is what is the energy industry now. And you have a range of scenarios that has been this is what I wanted to try to convey you. And what are the seconds duration, minutes, hours, days, and months and years. And you need the expanding range of scenarios is very heavy. So when you wanted to detect something, you need to manage the uncertainty effectively by means of predicting it and accurately, and also you take care of the system performance, and also you take care of the day-to-day energy needs. The range of this scenarios are going to be excessively high. That too, after the transformation of COVID, it is going to be predominantly high because the residential loads are continuously increasing currently, and distribution loads are continuously, I mean, like in industrial commercial loads are continuously totally dropped. So the power system is going to be somewhat confused. The power sector is really going to face a big challenge in the future. So you need the effective predictive analysis for carrying out any kind of analysis in terms of seconds, minutes, hours, days, and also months. But at the end of the session, what I would like to say is there is a lot of importance that has to be given for deep learning, not only to predict things, and also to acquire the knowledge out of it, and also to train the knowledge whatever you have gathered by means of the big data analysis tools or any kind of massive analysis tools, and do a deep learning out of it, and learn the acquired data, and also map and plot various things that could correlate the attributes. And by looking at the attributes, you can predict the feature, and also you can try to accommodate the learnings and put towards a perfect pathway in acquiring the standard output. So at the end of the session, I would like to also convey you, now we have the power data, and you can assess the previous power data in last year, and also assess the current power data, because the current power data, why I'm asking you to assess is none other than due to the COVID situation, all the load data values are going to be completely changing, because like the last year, the load variations and the impact and the demand is totally different, and now it is totally different. To to have an insight on this forecasting technology, or to have how the for example, you can take the situation of India, and you can take the data from POSOCO. There is something called Power System Operation and Control. You take the data, spend some time after the session. What I would like to tell is energy transition, how you are realizing, how you are able to realize the energy transition, and like the energy transition towards the deep learning models is a different topic what we have covered today. Now you can realize by deep learning models, you can realize what could be the energy transmission from today to next 6 months, to next 6 months how the energy transition is going to happen. So what is the effect post COVID? Now you can assess, you can do the analysis in this way. Pre-COVID, you take the data set of the previous year, that is the last year. I mean, not alone, not even previous year, because we are sailing towards more than 1 year towards COVID. We are sailing. So you can take the year 2019 data, and then you can compare it with current pre-COVID data, and then you predict what could be the feature using the deep learning models. By just analyzing the COVID transformation, you can do this. This could be one of the case study which could really motivate you, and I would like to share you this idea. And I will also at the end of the session, I will be sharing the COVID paper. I have been the COVID based researcher, especially for power and energy solution. I have worked with technologies, and also I have I have published very high quality papers in the area of COVID. I can also say that I am the first Indian who has published many high quality research SCI articles in the area of COVID, and I have taken this topic only, to having that as an insight and just give you some insights how the energy transitions are being happening. So I will just like to give you only one what the demo what I have performed by means of the the Python inverted model. It is a kind of regression model. This one is already dumped, and it has also been run to give you some, interesting insight about this, how the forecasting is being carried out, how the deep learning models or this forecasting models are being, used to visualize data. First thing you will be getting impressed is you have massive data. You need to do the thorough data collection. So for example, I have given you a case study what you can do it and implement and you realize the importance of deep learning. I have already given you. For example, here I have and you can do by carrying out the same similar steps. Maybe I can even share this particular collaboratory file. It is nothing but this collaboratory file is nothing but Google Colab facility, which is available. And this case study has been carried out especially for giving you, some push or some, some threshold push for making you get fascinated to work on this and do something which could really benefit you. Yeah. So here, these are all the case studies that I have been performing, and that has been already run as well. Okay. So
can I interrupt?
Yeah.
There seems to be some PPT is not visible. Could you help, please? Now it's come. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. No worries, because I have completed my PPT session about the deep learning and the the transformation that is needed in the energy transition and deep learning, and now I'm just trying to show the demo. So people are following till this point. Can I start to show the model that I have run and
Please go ahead.
Yeah, fine, sure. So this is one of the plant one, what has been considered as a solar power generation data plant, which contains 22 inverters, where each inverter, this is one of the typical case study what I've tried to implement, and what are the various graphics that I can bring, and what are the data visualization what we have talked over the slides, and also what are the pre-processing that could be carried out, how to acquire the data, what all I have talked in the last 1 hour, roughly around 1 hour. I have tried to implement in terms of one case study and try to make you understand how these things are happening in terms of a platform called regression platform and deep learning platform. I mean a typical simulatory platform, analysis platform, you can say. Solar power generation data plant contains 22 inverters, where each inverter is connected with several PV arrays. Yes, of course, 22 inverters is connected with different PV arrays. Every 15 minutes, each inverter records the data, obviously. So we need to have, this is all about data pre-processing every 15 minutes. So the time duration is nothing but, as I have told you already, there will be different predictive ability, like very short term, medium term, and long term. So here we fix the time duration to capture the data to be as 15 minutes. So when you look at this, and this is all available as a ready-made package. Some packages are available in, like a Google platform. Like you see import platforms, import libraries, and these are all carried out by means of a Python hands-on tool. And it is like import library, MATLAB library. These are the plotting libraries for, which is going to aid the data visualization facility. And if you look at this, main things I would like to cover, and you can see the data I have taken from the real-time platforms, and I've stored it in CSV file, and then I'm giving the file here. I'm just uploading the file. There is a provision here which you can see here, and here you can save the file, and you try to upload the file. This is nothing but the plant one generation data CSV. And then what you try to do is the next step, you try to load the data into it. Once if it is loaded, what happens is this syntax executed. Plant one data dot tail. Head and tail are the two operations that are available. Head means the top datas and tail means the bottom layer datas. So you can see the various attributes of a particular system. This is all a typical, like solar power plants, a group of solar power plants we are trying to consider. As per the date and time, we are just going to categorize it. Date is going to remain stable because we are going to do the forecasting for the particular date, 17th of June, at various time intervals. Time duration given is at the various time intervals only we need to perform the data. But now we are implementing the data.tail. It is just going to display the last bottom datas. Not forecasting is not happening here. It is just going to give you the tail data. Tail data means the bottom data for various attributes. Plant ID for all the same plant ID. Plant ID is going to be the same. Because it has taken a data of a single plant with a single unique ID, and this is the source key for each plant. And DC power you can see, AC power you can see, and what is the daily yield of the plant, and also you can see the total yield of the plant. This is the information. And then you can see plant data tail comment is executed, and which displays you can display the last few data sets for analysis. And also there is something called data info. If you wanted to take the data information from a massive data set, what are the options that are available? So there are 6 different attributes. And what is the various, what are the non-null data and what are the zero data and what is the count and what is the data type? Everything you can retrieve by means of this particular syntax. So this is all about, we are trying to do an advanced analysis. So don't get confused. What I'm trying to do is, there is a plant and there is a massive data, and what are the facilities available to analyze a particular data. This is going to be important for any kind of researchers working on the research community to analyze the data. Deep learning is not something, like very, very vague or very big or very comprehensive, which is not easy to understand. It's something very easy. You take the data, whatever you wanted to do in real time, and try to analyze it. So there is something called plant data info facility that can really display the various data sets. I told you we need to clean the data before you pre-process as an input. So cleaning data, what are all the what you need to do is, you need to use a group by clause. Plant one data dot by group by. Group by means what you are going to group by means of date and time with respect to other attributes, DC power, AC power, daily yield, total yield, and then you do the aggregate summation. So when I talk about the big data analysis, there is something called statistic analysis and data decomposition. Statistic analysis, by means of big data, you can also mean the value and you can also sum it and you can average it. You do all these operations to give a normalized data to a system. So you have this facility of grouping by. So then what you do is, you after grouping it, you give the after grouping it, the things will get displayed as per this particular syntax. And then head, you also have the head comment. Like this head comment will implement the top data. When you wanted to implement the top few data, you have the provision to implement by means of this syntax, plant one data dot head. So this is nothing but one step is not related with the other step. It is just an analysis. How to do an analysis with a massive data. So you should not assume that this step is different and this step is different. It's not like that. We do various analysis. How to clean the data is what is you have seen in the last step, and how to display the top data is what is you are going to see in this step. Okay. So this is what is the various thing. After this is one of the important thing. Here we are going to do DC power, AC power and yield. We are using various plots. So this is one of the advanced facilities, so especially for the researchers to attract the reviewers, like before doing the analysis, whatever analysis you do, you can have n number of, like good waveforms to make your research papers look so comprehensive. That is the provision is really there in the deep learning platforms. So here, whatever attributes we have seen as a different one, you can really see here. Now we are going to assess the DC power plot. So you have DC power and you can see everything is, everything is being, assessed with respect to time, because this is a forecasting technology which is going to assess anything with respect to time. You can see that the darkened line is what is the normalized curve, normalized DC value, and the dotted lines are all the unusual data. So you can directly from this analysis, what you can do is you can clip the healthy portion of a DC waveform and you can clean the other portions. This is what is the data cleaning. So this is nothing but you have a provision to assess and also to access the massive data and remove the unwanted portion, and also retain the healthy DC waveform that can be pre-processed as an input to the system. So this is what is being conveyed here, and this is one of the type of data visualization after a data cleaning process. Calendar DC. Now you also have provision to display the DC with respect to time and date. Values, table values, DC power, index is equal to time, columns is equal to date. When you give the syntax, you can retrieve from the massive data, which is really confusing, to a more clear data as per the date and time. You will be able to get the time interval is only when you give time, it is displaying. For example, you can see that 22:45, which means what? 10:45 and 11 o'clock. Why the 15 minutes duration is there? Because we are fixing the time interval for 15 minutes duration. So that is why you have the 15 minutes duration between each data set. So that is going to be very useful when you have the time interval based data prediction, data analysis. Yeah. Define function to multiplot is multiplots can be carried out. Multiplots is nothing but for each time interval for various range. In-depth analysis from a single plot. In the previous thing, you see a single plot. Now you can do what you can do is you can see every DC power for all the massive data. You can assess every DC power in for example, five kind of time duration. You can take as an interval, and you assess for each and every 5 columns of data. You can assess by means of multiplot facility. That is also there in the provision for this analysis. Multi_plot data is equal to calendar_DC, row is equal to 9, and column can be fixed as 4. So this is all, this is nothing but the regression platform where you have all these provisions. And also there is something called daily plan. Daily DC plot can also be plotted, like it plots like this bar graph. What are the daily requirements of the DC power, and how the syntax happens is aggregating the summation out of it. And this is the daily yield in terms of multi-plot, and that is daily yield in terms of single plot. And if you look at this, this is the creating, and this is something, a daily yield in each day. So massively, you are just cumulatively, you have a provision to show the daily yield that has been occurring in each day, and the syntax is here. And you can give all the provisions in this platform, and then you can try to plot the daily yield across each day for the single solar power plant. Now, I have now covered the solar data, and there is also things done for weather data. And I'm now Deep learning and big data analysis is all about correlation, like combining comparisons. So previously we have loaded the solar data, and now I'm trying to load the weather data. And finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assess the same pattern for weather data implementation. Also, I'm going to assess the same DC power, daily yield, all the attributes I'm going to assess even for the weather sensor data, what I'm going to feed into the system. Already I have fed the solar plant data. I have already explained you what are all the various attributes and how we are plotting it by means of data visualization facilities that are available in the big data analysis platform. The same way, now this file is plant 1 weather sensor data. I'm feeding it and then trying to assess the same thing daily and trying to assess the same thing head plant info, and also cleaning process is also same, and all the steps I'm going to carry out even for this. Here something different I'm going to carry out is ambient temperature, because in weather we also need to take about ambient temperature. For a daily basis we assess, and you can see this is the unusual deviation that occurs in a the particular active day period, and we try to clip it off and we retain the portion of an healthy one. For clipping it, you can really seek this support of data visualization tool, where you can plot the daily ambient temperature and you can clean the raw portions from this plot. So the effective values and the stable curve can be easily attained from this data visualization tool. So likewise, you have all the provisions here in this platform, a big data analytics platform. The same way you can plot the daily field values, and also you can be able to judge from each month what are the irradiations changes as per the weather data, and also you can look at the irradiation curve. Like when you wanted to plot the irradiation with respect to time, you can really get the active irradiation period, where these are all the raw portions where you can clip it off after the data visualization and data cleaning process. Now, this is the important point. Correlation. In this part, we are making correlation between feature to see how some feature can explain another feature, or see relation between them. See, this is one of the important research point, which every researcher needs to, which every researcher will be having an idea to do it. When you wanted to do the correlation between various objective functions, for example, you have the objective functions which is fixed, and you wanted to train it into the genetic algorithm, for example, or you need to tune the fitness function, whatever it is. But before that, when you wanted to make an analysis, this correlation platform can be very much useful, and you do the same kind of things. And if you wanted to do a correlation, for example, I will show you only one output. With that, I will end it. Now what I have tried to do is we have tried to do the correlation between the solar data and power data by means of thermal chart, and what are the deviations, and those deviations can be effectively plotted over here. So the same way, ambient temperature, module temperature, irradiation, DC power, AC power, one with respect to solar data and one with respect to weather data, and the correlation can be effectively carried out, and also it can be visualized by means of, there is a facility on data visualization to visualize